8 candidates arrived for a company interview. However, the exam papers handed to them were blank sheets. The examiner then announced 3 strict rules. First, they were forbidden from speaking to the examiner or security guard. Second, they could not leave the room alone. Third, they could not damage the exam papers. Violating any rule would result in immediate elimination. They were competing for a position with an annual salary of 5 million yuan. After hearing the rules, no one dared to object. The examiner then started an 80-minute countdown and quickly left the examination room. Staring at the blank papers before them, all the candidates appeared utterly bewildered. They had no idea what the questions were, nor were there any hints provided. However, as time passed minute by minute, one woman suddenly had an idea. She believed the boss had given them a blank sheet because he wanted them to write a professional report. She picked up her pencil and began writing. But when the security guard saw this, he immediately walked over and forcibly escorted her out of the room. She had violated the rule against damaging the exam papers. Witnessing this, everyone else put down their pens and dared not write anything on the papers. Then Jack realized something crucial. The examiner had only stated 3 rules, which meant that as long as they didn't violate those 3 rules, they would be fine. He immediately stood up from his seat and began gesturing enthusiastically at the air. Seeing that the security guard showed no reaction, he boldly began greeting the other candidates. It turned out the rules only prohibited speaking to the examiner and security guard. They said nothing about communicating with other candidates. Soon, everyone began discussing why the exam papers were blank. Lisa speculated that the papers might be made of some special chemical substance, and perhaps the questions would appear under special lighting. Everyone thought this made sense. They held their papers up to the lights in the room, but after multiple attempts, nothing changed. Then the woman noticed some emergency lights in the walls. To test her hypothesis, they picked up chairs and smashed all the lights. Immediately, a blue emergency light illuminated. However, after testing, the papers still showed nothing. One person suggested they might not have found the right color, perhaps there were other lights in the room. At that moment, the observant woman suddenly noticed another light fixture on the wall that hadn't illuminated yet. Perhaps this was the light they were looking for. They immediately smashed the emergency light on the wall. The next second, the room was flooded with red light. After several more attempts, the papers remained blank. Just then, they noticed a man who hadn't stood up since arriving at the examination room. Unexpectedly, he said something strange. At that moment, the group didn't realize that the man had already revealed the secret of the exam papers. Only, nobody understood what he meant. Having tried every method imaginable, they began to suspect that the secret behind the blank papers must be hidden on the security guard standing by the door. When the woman heard this, she suddenly reached out toward the man.